Down in the deep south, folks spin tales about the grand tapestry, an invisible weave holding our world together. They say the grand tapestry is torn by folk sorrows, and these damaged threads give rise to them evil spirits called haints. But every great while, a mighty storm brews, awakening a powerful force. A weaver, gifted with the power to reach into the past and mend folks' deep wounds. With enchanted hooks in hand, this weaver can banish haints and reweave the tapestry's thread, restoring the land so life can bloom again, fresh and new. The last weaver vanished long ago, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Our tale begins deep in the heart of Chickasaw County, in a speck of a town called Prospero, where the last weaver was last seen. That evening, Hazel's mama was running late, driving home through a storm that seemed hell-bent on drowning the whole South. Meanwhile, our Hazel is packing an emergency box, fixing to evacuate quickly. A hurricane brewing on the horizon, and a mighty big one at that. Hazel got no help from her strange grandma. Truth was, she was glad to leave the Flood mansion behind. Used to handling things on her own, she set off downriver to find her house and rescue her ma herself. There, magic called to her. A magic she'd felt in her bone, but she had never seen before. And something dark. That old house had hid all manners of odious secrets over the years. Hazel set off to find them all through the hurricane-ravaged land, but her path would lead her to a place haunted by whispers from days of yore. On her journey to find her house downriver, Hazel felt hushed and awed by what she saw. Spirits appeared before her eyes, leaving her stunned. She hadn't known about Mahalia, the last weaver of Prospero, but Hazel felt a connection as she watched her wield magic. The same magic now calling to her. The farther Hazel got from town, the stranger and more fantastical the world became. She didn't know dangerous creatures from old folks' tales still abide here. And best of all, she didn't know she was about to meet me. As Hazel ventured downriver, her powers grew stronger. She glimpsed the past, seeing some memories of Ma and others strange and unknown. Hazel was perturbed by what she'd seen of a giant man tree in his heartache. But thanks to my help, she reweaved his knots and sealed his pain in a magic bottle placed in the grand tapestry. Once she set me loose, I offered her my assistance to locate her mom. But there was more than meets the eyes in these waters. More than just a gentle tree man lurking about. I guided her through the murky waters to the flooded area where her house should have washed up. To find them all, Hazel edged closer to the river bend where her house must have washed away. The closer we got, the more I remembered those tales about gators as big as houses. But I always thought folks were exaggerating. Hazel had to cross a flooded land to reach the bend in the river. Where they passed, and an old friend rose up like sunken secrets. But the terrorizing legend of Two-Toed Tom still cast a chilling shadow over us. While Two-Toed Tom might have stirred up a mess round these parts, the storm sure done far worse. Hazel had gone into the belly of the beast to find her maw once she reached the river bend, thanks to me. But Hazel's house was covered in red yarn, a sure sign of Molly's child-stealing ways. It looked like she got to Lacey first. Maybe Lacey had crossed paths with Molly. Tales of old Molly stealing children weren't just tales. Years ago, when he was no bigger than a minnow, hugging Molly even snatched Hazel's daddy Trey. But Bunny got him back somehow. Hazel would have to track down old Molly to bring her maw back. Fortunately, I knew a spot owned by Bunny where she might find some leads. While searching Bunny's cottage for clues about old Molly, Hazel glimpsed her grandma's past and felt sorry for her. But what Bunny did was unnatural. Sealing her dead daughter's spirit in a tree? Despite this, Hazel's powers guided Cherie to find solace in the great beyond. Following a lead, Hazel sought Laurent Baptiste, who knew old Molly's whereabouts, but Hazel wasn't keen on seeing him again, given a mauled history with him. Hazel asked Laurent about Molly's whereabouts. But mentioning Lacey stirred him up, turned him into a giant owl. Hazel was shocked to see someone she knew transform him into a creature. Using her magic, she reweaved Laurent's old wound, bringing him back to his true self. But the guilt and shame would take its own sweet time to fade away. Once Laurent got himself together, he and Hazel headed for old Molly's lair. But Hazel felt uneasy. Even a giant creature like Laurent seemed unsure he could take her all the way. Exhausted, Laurent got Hazel as close to old Molly's lair as he could. But with her growing power, she soared into a gust of wind. Imagine that. As she got closer to the house on the hill, the hair on her neck stood up. But to find her mom, she'd have to go through the haunted holler. When I was a little old sack fry, folks watched out for me. But besides Lacey, Hazel didn't have nobody like that. Not even her grandma. So naturally, I gave her a helping fin.
A helping fin, huh? Sure. But this part's better told by me. Free falling through the air like that? Betrayed. Scared. But still, I only had my mama on my mind. And I found her. Just to lose her again. Never really realized how much of Mama's world I didn't know about. Discovering she relied on hugging Molly to rescue abused children. I had it all wrong. Getting her back felt like an impossible dream. But I wouldn't give up on her. She never would. So then I crossed paths with this fella, Rue, who told me to track him and my mama down at Kushma's cabaret. Catfish wasn't thrilled, cautioning that it was too risky, but it was my only lead. While I gathered my spindles, I was guided by a weaver from the past, Mahalia. Then I stumbled upon a gentle creature named Honey. He seemed to be in a bind, so I felt the urge to lend a hand. But in these swamps, the air was thick with ancient secrets. I had to push through to find my way out and reach my ma at Kushma's cabaret. It hurt to even imagine what this woman must have endured. But thankfully, Honey found his way back to her. As I watched Honey's mother holding him close, envy washed over me like a wave. I was yearning to see my mama again, but my powers wouldn't take me back to her. It was gonna take a leap of faith. In a one-way trip to a spot my fish pal wouldn't even consider swimming.
No one is telling, bitter or sweet. Now, what's more compelling? Oh, follow the river, and find the town on the tap.
I felt lost in the thickest fog I've ever seen. And the pressure to get to Kushma's cabaret to find my ma was suffocating. Like the weight of the world bearing down on my shoulders. When I stepped into the cabaret, Rue greeted it. And I felt myself getting caught up in the moment. Here, time seemed to dance to Rue's tune, flowing both forward and backward. After agreeing to his terms, I crossed the threshold and found myself right back where I started. They say you can't mend the past. Well, I was about to put that to the test. Losing my mother again felt soul-crushing. I felt drained, like I had no will left. And worse, I realized this was exactly how Kushma, the king of nightmares, thrived. But I managed to break free from that illusion. I knew I'd lose myself if I didn't break that never-ending cycle. Bottling Kushma with Mama's help made me realize that together, we could handle whatever came our way. It filled me with more pride than any gold medal I've ever won. But that's not where this story ends. There was a loose end back in Prospero that needed tying up. It was time to swing by Bunny's again. And that's how a new weaver came to be in Prospero.
Well, well. Not bad at all, Hazel Flood.
I appreciate it. I gotta get going. Instead, I meet Ma and Laurent for dinner. See y'all later.